Hello friends, in this tutorial we will discuss how to create CRUD operation, how to perform CRUD operation using Spring Boot. How to perform CRUD operation using Spring Boot. So for this I will use Spring Boot application and we will use WAF and JPA version of it. JPA is our dependency, we can say. Include these two dependencies. Apart from that, to connect to MySQL, we will use MySQL jar file. Again, for database side, we will use, obviously we are going to use MySQL, and in this MySQL we will create one database. So the database name should be, we will create a company underscore DB, and in this database we have one table right now, so we will perform some operation on this table. The table name is employee. So employee table have some primary key, that is ID, and then we have employee name, and then we have employee salary and DOT of employee, and we can say technologies, whatever the technologies, we can say skills. So these are the fields, and we can see coming out experience. Also it may have many fields and address also. So these are the fields which we want to insert in our employee table. Then we will perform CRUD operation, that is create. CRUD operation create means inserting data into this particular table, and U means update the data. So if you inserted wrong skills or wrong experience or wrong address, or if you want to update your address, then you can use this update query. And apart from that, R means read or select. Suppose if you want to see the list of employees, then you can use this select query and perform the read operation. And D is for delete. So some data if you want to delete, then you can perform this. Suppose some employee is no longer in use, or some cleanup data is required, then you can perform delete operation from your table. So data will be deleted with this command, or we can say with this query we can delete. So these four operations we will perform with this Spring Boot and MySQL database. So Spring Boot generally we will use MVC. What is MVC? MVC is model, view and controller. So we will create this model, view and controller using Spring Boot, and for this I'm gonna use Themeleaf and Themeleaf as a view layer and controller as our Java. So basics Java you should know, then only you will be able to do this work. And also MySQL knowledge is required, not that much, but initial beginner level knowledge is required to perform this CRUD operation. So here the architecture, this is our client application, browser or something, and it wants to communicate with our server, and here is our database. This is a MySQL database, and the table is database is company underscore DB, and table is employee currently we have, and this is our server. This server we have Apache Tomcat. We will use embedded Apache Tomcat, and in this Apache Tomcat we have our application. This is our Spring Boot application. So this Spring Boot application will communicate to this database, and here some user, we can say it's our client application. Multiple clients can simultaneously from desktop, from mobile, anywhere they can. Basically a client app is your browser. Material is your browser. So client make a request and it will goes to this Apache Tomcat, then Apache Tomcat will forward it to our application, and application will, we have to write some URLs there. Then what happens, that particular URL will execute and will perform. If you want to create, then it will goes to database and it will insert that. Similarly for update also, first this is our request, we can say. So along with request, basically it works on HTTP protocol. HTTP. And HTTP have multiple methods. If you want to perform so it has multiple methods like get, post, put and delete. So four methods currently we are going to use of HTTP. So first is get method. This is for reading purpose. So this solves our purpose because we are going to read. And post will update our post will save our reports, and put will update our report, and delete will delete the report. So these four operations we can perform using get method. So if you want to select, then you have to make a request for using get method. Then it will goes to our particular controller class, and controller will communicate to service layer, and service will communicate to database and repository layer. Then it will send response along with that. So this is related to, we can say it's a request response oriented. Client can make a request to the server, and server can provide the services, or we can say facilities to our client like this. So this is a simple architecture of our Spring Boot and MySQL database and client. We can say it's the architecture of our application what we are going to discuss. I have Spring Toolsuite in my system, as well as I have MySQL already installed in my system. So I am using MySQL query browser. You can use any UI tool. So currently this is installed in my system, so I am going to use this. So I will create as first of all we should start with database part. As we discussed, we have this we will create this company DB. So I am going to create this database first. Here right click here, and you can create company underscore DB and refresh this. You will get the database. The company DB doesn't have any table, so I'm going to create one table here. So the table has these many fields: ID, name, salary, DOB, and experience. So employee table have ID, name we can use, salary. I'm also using integer, but you can use double R. Name, salary, DOB, experience, skills. DOB I'm also using varchar, but you can use skills we can provide it because we can provide multiple. So I'm using 450. Experience also we can enter into, and then address I'm using 500. Okay, that's it. Apply, and it will create one query. If you want to run this query, you can directly run from here. If you want to execute from here, then you can execute. I have executed, and now I will select this database. And if you want to see what we have created, you can see here. If you want to update something, you can update. So now with this, now I'm going to create one application. Now we will create one Spring Boot application, that is company. I will explain. Here in file you can go to new, and there Spring Starter project you have to choose, and you can create this application using this Spring Starter using this ID as well as using this URL. If you want to create application from here, you can also use this Spring Initializer. Here you have to provide the name, group name, artifact name, description, and package name, and varchar whatever you want to use. So here also you can create your Spring Boot project, and then later you can open there. So here also you can create project, and you can import there later. Now currently I am creating project here. So this is my company management system, and package is from the CMS. Here also I am updating. So I am using Java version 8 and packaging as jar, and we are using language. This is company management system. So go to next, and here we have to use web version. So you can search here, add this web. Also theme leaf, choose this theme leaf. Also I want to add JPA and MySQL database. So these are the required dependencies, or we can say these are starter dependencies. Go to next, please. Then it will create one project here in the left section, and build is in progress. Once it is done, we can write code there. Now project has been created, and we have this main class here. So application will start with this main class because it's at that Spring Boot application and it has main class. And now I can run this application using run with Spring Boot application. So it will start the application. But what happens, because we have used this GPU dependency, it is not getting started. So we need to configure our properties file accordingly and work on it. So here I will create one more. So our application is a layered architecture. This is our app. This is view layer, controller, and database. So here we will. This is our view. This is our business layer. Business or DO, you can say business and then DO. So I will create 4 layers. DO repository. So these are 4 layers. Here we will write code using themely. These files are nothing but our HTML file. We are going to create HTML. So here we will create our HTML files, and in the controller we will create controller class, that is our employee controller, and in business layer we will write service class, and DO we will write repository class. So we will use JPA repository. So this is HTML hypertext markup language, and these are all Java classes or interfaces we are going to create. This one is our interface, and this is our Java class, and this is also our Java class. Then what happens, we will create one form here, that is registration form, or we can say employee registration. So here is my EMP registration form, and in this, using this form we will submit some details of employee, like we are going to create, we are inserting name, TOD, and so on. We have multiple fields here, and then we have one submit button, and then we are going to submit. As and when we submit, it will goes to our controller layer along with this data. We will use post method to call this controller, and this data will store in one class, that is our employee.java. We will create one employee.java class. This is nothing but our model class, or we can say it's a domain class or model class, whatever you want. Or in Hibernate we can say it's a Pojo class, plain old Java object. Pojo class we will create. Pojo class consists only in the fields and its getter setter method. Whatever the fields available in our employee, it has same mapping. Then this object it will goes to our service layer, and in service layer we will write save method here, and in this same method if you want to perform some business logic, then you can perform here. Then again our request goes to repository, and then we have here database. It will save our data into database using a repository. So similarly it's work. So start with this Java class. We will create one Java class here, that is our employee class. This is entity java.persistent, and we have to provide the table name. Whatever the table name you have here, you have to provide the same name. So my table name is employee. Here we have to provide the column names. So this is our ID, and it is auto increment. Okay, so auto increment we will create @ID annotation is available. Here we have to provide private, and we have to provide @generated, and here we have to provide strategy generation type auto. So it will automatically create ID for us. We need not to insert this ID. Automatically GPU will create ID for us. Then we have names and the view. So for name we can declare as column with a string, and name is nothing but name. This is also a private. Similarly I will create columns, all the available columns. Salary is integer, term of salaries, DOB skills and experience. DOB simply string. Remaining one is our address. Let me create one more. So now I'm going to create getters and setters of it. So I will generate getter and setters. Right click here, source, generate getter and setter. Using this we have generated getter and setter method. So in previous video we have completed employee.java class. So it's an entity class. Whatever the table you have to provide, you have to create one reference class with our table. So similarly I have created employee class here. So now next step, moving forward, we will create one repository. So here I will create one repository interface. So this is our employee repository. So here we have to extend because it's an interface. So here interface we have JPA interface, JPA repository, and here we have to pass our entity class name. So our entity is employee. This is our class what we have created. Same class you have to provide. So if you see here, we have to create one POJO class, that is our employee class. Now we are creating repository or DO layer. So here I have created employee DO. Similarly, if you have other table like user, you have to create user. So we have created one employee.java class. If you have other tables like user or transaction or history or order, whatever it may be, you have to create one POJO class and you have to create one repository interface to persist the data. Here ID, then you have to provide the ID type. What is the type of ID? So we have ID type is integer. So if it is long, then you have to provide here long, but in our case it is integer, so that is enough because JPA repository have all the save and update all methods available inside. So we need not to create because we extend already this JPA repository. So in JPA repository we can find all the members, all the list of employee here, and we can find by ID also. Here we can perform and we can pass multiple IDs here. We have plus method, we have save method. All the methods are available in this interface, so we need not to create any method here. If you want to customize that, then you can override and you can say you can create your own methods. So this part is done. Now third part, then we have to create our service layer. So I'm going to create one employee service here. This is class, and here I'm using employee. So it's a class, but how to define this service as a service? So to define service in our Spring Boot, we have to annotate the class with @service annotation, @service annotation. For this also we have to provide it as @repository. To define the controller, we have to annotate our class as @controller. So make sure that you have annotated all these classes at controller, service and @repository. So here we have to define this class as @service. Then only it will work as a service. Otherwise it won't work as a service, and this repository will not work as a repository. So that's why I am annotating it as repository. So here now I'm going to create one method here. I have to write one business logic here. So let's start with controller, then we will write one by one here. So now we have created this entity interface, doesn't have any method, and we have created one entity service. Now I am going to create one controller, and then we will start writing from controller. I am going to create one controller, that is employee. So to define our class as controller, we need to use @controller. Now here we are going to define one method to get the view. So in Spring or Spring MVC, we can say the view layer will be visible only after executing this controller. So if you want to open our HTML page our GSP page. Then you have to go through. First, you have our request goes to controller layer, and then it will goes to HTML. So to open the page, we have to write one controller method. Otherwise, you won't be able to view your HTML pages in browser. So first of all, we need to create one method so that we can view our registration form. So for that, I'm going to create one public method. The return type of method is string and get registration form. By this method, I'm going to return our HTML page name, that is something like this. I will create whatever the name you are using. With same name, we have to create one HTML file here. So I'm going to create one HTML file. There in HTML. Inside the template, we have to provide our HTML file. So this is my event register. So it will create one empty HTML file. Here I am writing H1 type registration form. We will see this H1 type here in our controller. So by this, we should be able to open this page in browser by using. So which URL you want to use to open this particular page. So here we have to provide @getMapping. GetMapping is nothing but it's a combination of request mapping plus getMapping. So earlier we have request mapping, and there we have to provide the request mapping whatever the value we want to provide. Then we have to use this requested method .get. So it's a combination of that. Now it's completely we have now it is available at the rate annotation. Earlier we do not have this get. So we used to have that particular methods. Now here we have value, and you can see whatever the URL you want, you can provide here also. I'm using the same URL so that you can open this. Now I will try to run this application and try to open this page first of all, because we have written multiple codes starting from repository, service, and so one thing we missed here, because earlier we are getting some error due to these properties. So we need to insert, we need to write some properties regarding the database connections. So we have to provide JDBC username, URL, password, and whatever the code we want to use to up and down our application. Here, these are the 4-5 properties which we need to use, and going to use same properties. You can also refer this site, no need to remember, but these are the same properties. Here we have to provide whatever the host we are using. So currently we are using localhost. If you are using some other server, then you have to pass IP address here. But in our case, my MySQL is running on my system, so okay. Now we have to use the table name, database name we have to provide here in the URL. So our database name is company_db. Then username is root, and my password is MySQL. Now I will try to run this application here. Run a Spring Boot. So 808